Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, the Vikings just made 5 roster moves, and we'll break them all down on today's show. And the biggest roster move being Jordan Addison. Number 3 is finally back. He was added to the active roster. They also ended up signing another running back, Corey Kiner, to the practice squad. And actually, there's some good notes and tape out there on that running back. But they also did release Tim Jones and Lucky Jackson, and then also Xavier Validate. So we'll talk about all these moves here in a second, but number 3 is back. So let's show Jordan Addison some love to start off today's show. Type his jersey number, type those 3s down below in the comment section. As this Vikings offense is just slowly getting healthy. All the Infinity Stones are starting to get involved. So if you guys want to show Jordan Addison some love, type those 3s down below. All right, let's talk about the impact that number 3 is going to make here. Jordan Addison is officially back. Now, I thought we saw last year when this offense really hit their stride, it was when Jordan Addison was getting heavily involved. Because if we remember, the first 7-ish weeks of this past season, Addison really wasn't involved too much. And, obviously he was dealing with that ankle injury, but then even when he was in the lineup, he wasn't too involved. But then we saw the Vikings offense really hit their stride in the second half of the year. And a big reason for that was because of Jordan Addison. And this guy's been awesome to start his career. I mean, back-to-back seasons going over 850 yards, finding the end zone already 19 times in his short career so far. And, he's always been a weapon with the football in his hands. And, even back in, 2024 last year, he even had that rushing touchdown, that jet sweep they had against the Green Bay Packers. And, what's so scary about Jordan Addison here is, I feel like we haven't seen the best version of him. Because obviously this is year 3 for him. Year 1, he was fantastic. Came on the scene strong, looked like a true NFL wide receiver. Last year, he looked even better. And why I'm so excited to see Addison is because if you guys remember during training camp, OTAs, Addison was the main guy at the receiver spot because obviously Jefferson was dealing with that hamstring injury all throughout training camp. So Jordan Addison was getting a lot of looks as the number 1 wide receiver. And we saw him and J.J. McCarthy really starting to build that strong connection. So I think Jordan Addison, year 3 of his NFL career, starting to hit his athletic prime. I could see him having a masterful upcoming season. But Darren Wolfson also mentioned this on a recent podcast talking about Addison possibly getting extended, saying he's a number 1 wide receiver, but here, number 2. Wait until you see the contract extension Addison will sign. The Vikings have in their minds this idea that they are going to pay Addison. And, I fully agree with that. That doesn't seem too shocking to me that, the Vikings fully plan to pay Jordan Addison. I think that was a big reason why they decided to move off Sam Darnold, not bring in another veteran quarterback because you want to take advantage of JJ on that rookie deal. And I think Addison will be getting around T. Higgins money. And for a wide receiver too, this is just a calling, or this is just a going rate here in the modern day NFL. He'll probably end up signing a 4-year. If I had to call it, it'll probably be a 4-year, $120 million deal. $30 million for a wide receiver too. It's a lot, but Addison is that talented. I think it would be worth it. And that's also why you get a QB on a rookie deal. You can take advantage, give JJ everything he can have to lead him to success. And you start looking at these Vikings weapons, I also did decide to include TJ Hawkinson on this as he had a nice little bounce back game this past week. But, what a support system for a quarterback. And, on top of this, you got Kevin O'Connell, Josh McCown, Wes Phillips, one of the best offensive coaching staffs in the NFL. But you got Jefferson, you got Addison, Jordan Mason's running crazy. TJ Hawkinson looks good. Darisaw, almost pitched a shutout in his first game back against Trey Hendrickson. And, what's so scary about this Vikings offense is we have no idea how truly good this Vikings offense can be this upcoming year because, you're banking on Christian Darisaw. He just had his first game back. He's going to start getting going, getting himself right. He'll be one of the best left tackles in the league when it's all said and done. You obviously got Jefferson, Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Mason now with the Vikings able to run the ball. And then that QB spot, assuming the Vikings go back to J.J. McCarthy, he should only get better throughout the season. And the Vikings offense, they're starting to have a 49ers feel to them, where if you guys remember when the Niners were making Super Bowls with, Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo, they were all built around their weapons. It was having that strong run game, and then it was having the weapons to build off that. Because if you have a strong run game, you got to stack the box. You can't run a lot of too high show. And then when you can't run a lot of too high show, then you just allow Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, these weapons on the outside to eat. So the Vikings, they're kind of like a poor man's, or I don't even want to call them poor man's anymore, but they're kind of starting to give a 49ers feel to them. You obviously, J.J. McCarthy, very similar QB to Brock Purdy. So I can see the Vikings, when it's all said and done at the end of the season, hopefully they feel like those Niners teams from the past couple of years with all the weapons, with the good run game, with the elite offensive mind at head coach. I don't know, Minnesota starting to feel a little San Francisco-y offensively. But I'll ask you guys this. Place your bets for week 4 against the Steelers. Jordan Addison making his return. Over under 49.5 receiving yards for Addison this Sunday. I'm going to probably take the under on this. I think Addison's going to start off this season slow, kind of like he did this past year. But also, I would not be shocked if it's like, oh, snap, Jordan Addison, first game back, he's got 80 yards and a touchdown. But you guys let me know. Over under 49.5 receiving yards for Addison this Sunday. Now, coming up, I do want to discuss the other roster moves really quickly and then dive into who is going to be wide receiver 3. Will it be Adam Thielen? Will it be Jalen Nailor now with Jordan Addison back in the fold? We'll dive in that here in a second, but today's episode is brought to you guys by Prize Picks. And you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And if you guys download the app and use promo code CLNS, we'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. On Prize Picks, it's super simple to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40-plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Prize Picks is also super, super user-friendly, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. So check them out and download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS, get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. But shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. I'll put that in the comment section and description of today's show. All right, let's close it out. Talk about the other roster moves and then discuss who the hell is going to be wide receiver 3, because I don't think it's a guarantee it's going to be Adam Thielen. I honestly think it's more likely that it's going to be Jalen Nailor running that spot. But we'll talk about that here in a second. But the other roster moves the Vikings made, biggest one here is Corey Kiner going to the practice squad. Now, unfortunately, they did let go of Xavier Valade, Lucky Jackson, Tim Jones. A little shocked. I'm assuming they're going to try to get Tim Jones back to the practice squad, but a little shocking that they let go of Lucky Jackson from the practice squad. He kind of impressed me a little bit in the preseason, so shocked that the Vikings just let him go. But Corey Kiner, let's talk about him. Our good old friend, big-time Vikings fan, Thor Nystrom had this to say after the Vikings added him to the P squad, saying, I had Kiner ranked as the number 320 overall prospect in this past draft. He would have been higher in past years, but found himself in a deep running back class. He also mentioned a note he had. Kiner is a tackle breaker who moves better on the field than his pre-draft testing indicated. 91st percentile in-game athleticism score. And, this guy has had a lot of carries under his belt. Playing the last 3 years at Cincinnati for his college career, but in total, over 550 carries, going for over 2,800 yards, averaging 5.2 yards per clip, and finding the end zone 16 times. So I kind of like this depth play for the Vikings at the running back spot. Now, obviously, Aaron Jones on short-term IR. Once he gets back in the fold, we probably won't see any other running backs besides Mason, Jones, and Cam Akers. But if something were to happen to Cam Akers or one of these other guys, it's nice to have somebody like Kiner who can step in and hopefully produce at that running back spot. But let's talk about who's going to be wide receiver 3 for the Vikings, because now with Addison back in the fold, this wide receiver room, number 1, is absolutely stacked. Like Jefferson, Addison, Thielen, Nailor, like this room is loaded. And then you got the punt return of Miles Price. Like, couldn't be happier with how the room looks right now. And if you're debating between Nailor and Adam Thielen, like, neither of these guys have really produced a whole lot this season in terms of just the raw numbers, but the eye test with Nailor has been absolutely fantastic. Kevin O'Connell, he was talking about him earlier this week, saying when you toss on the tape, Jalen Nailor is just getting open on damn near every single play. And plus Thielen, he's had some drop issues, and Nailor's just looks significantly better than Thielen so far this season, which I never thought I would be saying, because if you would have told me this a month ago when Nailor was having the drops in training camp, he was dealing with that hand injury, I would have said you're out of your mind if you think Nailor's going to look better than Thielen, but he has. He's been getting getting open a whole lot. If you guys remember that one Sunday night game against the Falcons, J.J. McCarthy missed that streak route to him. It was just an inside slot fade, but Nailor got open, creating a lot of separation. Now, I will say Thielen has more value in the run game compared to Nailor. Thielen's done a great job run blocking this season so far. So my best guess is that it's going to be a rotation. I'm going to assume that when it is on, true pass play downs, that it's probably going to be Nailor out there just because he has that speed. Just keep these safeties honest. And we also know Kevin O'Connell. He loves using Nailor as if he's just got a one-on-one opportunity, he'll send him on a deep post. He'll send him on a streak route because Jefferson, Addison, and Hawk is getting all of the attention on every single play. So I think it's going to be a rotation, maybe more red zone plays. It's more Thielen, but I think it's just going to be a mixture of Thielen and Nailor at that wide receiver 3 position. But I'll ask you guys this. Pick a wide receiver 3 for me. Give me a 19 for Adam Thielen or give me a 1 for Jalen, Speedy, Nailor. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. I would probably lean Speedy, but Thielen will still 100% be in the fold. But you guys let me know your thoughts down below. And also hit me up on Twitter if you guys have not already. That's a handle at Pat Sieps. Give me a follow over there. Also, news at the end, Tim Jones came back to the practice squad. So he'll be there with the Vikings P squad. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes.